Sure. How about there? Can you hear me now? Hello? Hello? Oh, I think I see my voice. Okay, and then on the radio, there. Can you guys hear me now? We'll get this figured out eventually, guys, I promise. At least I'm not freaking out, right? You can hear me. All right, Jesus. Well, hi, everybody. Welcome. Sorry it always starts out like this, but, you know, what do you do? We'll get there eventually. I'm trying to figure out a couple new pieces of software. I'd really like to... It must be a Toyota brand microphone. Hey, now. I like my Nissans, but Toyotas are good vehicles, too. Come on, be nice. Can you guys see the weird little triangle thing in the bottom left corner? I'm wondering. Because that's a piece of software that I'm trying to use that's causing all these problems. What I'll probably do, I guess, is I'm drinking a Monster Energy right now. It's 9 o'clock where I'm at. I'll just stay up to like 2 in the morning when everybody's asleep, and then I'll start testing this stuff when no one's around. Get the tactical spork. Nice. So can you guys see this orange triangle in like the bottom left-hand corner right here? Okay, cool, 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 cool. Nice. Okay, so something is working. One thing is working. And now we actually have video and we have audio, so that's fantastic. So thank you, Brett. It is fancy. It took me a lot of time to work on that, and it's taken me 2 live streams now with no audio and a disastrous start to just get that one thing on there. So I appreciate the fancy comment. Cool, so let's dive into it, guys. Let's just pretend like none of that happened. This is super smooth. And then like 6 months from now, you guys will look back and we'll all laugh about this, right? We'll all be like, hey, I remember when Fletch was even more of an idiot than he already is, than we already know he is. So tonight, I wanted to talk through gear. And when I say gear, you know, so last time we talked about overlanding modifications, things like that. What's the other big thing that us overlanders like? We like gear. So again, just to kind of tell everybody what's going on. So I am live streaming on YouTube right now that we figured this out. I'm also on overlandradio.com, so it doesn't matter how you interact. I've got both the chats pulled up. So I will try and get to all you guys as much as I can. I'm going to try and bring you guys into the conversation as much as possible too. So thank you for coming and hanging out. And let's dive into it. So like I said, we're going to be talking about overlanding gear tonight. If this is your first time listening, definitely if you're on YouTube, obviously you're on YouTube, click that subscribe button, click the like button when this video is over. I don't know that you can while it's live streaming, but maybe afterwards. Leave comments. Like, honestly, I'm telling you guys that it's huge how much of a difference that makes. It just tells YouTube that, you know, people are enjoying the content, that they're enjoying the video, and it just helps me get found more. So little stuff like that is awesome, and I appreciate it. So if it is your first time, though, welcome, and hang out for a little while. So let's start. So I wanted to kind of break the overlanding mods into, hi Jack, and Curtis. I know I don't have beer. I'm drinking a Monster Energy. The coronavirus and lockdown has made it where I feel like I drink more than normal, to the point where I run out quicker now. And now that I'm out, then I don't go out as much. So it's been like since Saturday, which that's a long time for me. 4 days sober, 5 days sober. I can't even do math. That's how long it's been. So I'm drinking this Monster Energy drink so I don't fall asleep during this thing. But so anyways, back to overlanding mods. Angry Orchard, come on. No. My wife likes those. No offense. But let's break the overlanding mods into a few categories. So I kind of want to keep it a little bit organized, right? So that we can all kind of talk about the same type of stuff. So I wanted to break it up into these 5 categories. Recovery type overlanding gear, which Jack could talk a bunch about, because I've seen, if you guys haven't seen this, go to the core Keweenaw Overlanding Adventure Retreat Community Facebook page and find the video by a gentleman named Jack Flood, where he shows during quarantine how he's using his overlanding gear to exercise. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. It's amazing. But so recovery is the first one that I want to talk about. Next, after that, we'll talk about food cooking and prep. So that could be anything from like stoves and grills and griddles to knives and, you know, just any sort of tools that you use for cooking type stuff. Third, heat. And I'm making this very vague on purpose because I want to kind of include in this both fire starting stuff and also like blankets, hand warmers, hot hands, that kind of stuff. I'm a winter camper personally. I love going from like fall all the way through like February, March. Like those are my favorite times because no one's around. Like I just went last weekend and I almost had to turn around and drive 2 hours back home because I could not find a spot. And I hate that. So, and bugs suck. I'm just not a bugs person or a rain person. Snow is cool. I hate rain. I'm a wuss is basically what I'm saying. So heat is the third thing. Fourth, shelter. So that could be tents, tarps, hammocks, rooftop tents, anything like that. Awnings, that kind of stuff. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And then fifth, knives and bladed tools. So axes, machetes, whatever kind of stuff you guys are into, we'll talk about. Hey, Scott. All right, so let me jump to the chat here before we jump into the first set of overlanding mods. So hi, everybody. I'm gonna try and call you all out. So we got one Overland Network. Howdy. Is that Lee? I think that's Lee. Curtis, Brett, Adventure Jeeps, what's up? Brett, Curtis, we got a lot of Brett and Curtis, Adventure Jeeps. Dylan, howdy. Who else we got here? Jack, hi. Brett, Curtis, Jack, Scott S30. Sweet. Nissan person. Hi. All right. So that's everybody. Welcome. So let's get into recovery stuff, right? So I'm going to kind of like do it like last time. If you guys were on the chat last week, I'm going to kind of start to throw out my stuff. But while I'm doing that, if you guys can, just like post up in the chat and let me know, like, what are your favorite recovery gear pieces that you have? Like, what are the best things that you bring on every single trip that you love related to recovery? So if you guys post that up in the comments, and I'll call you out here in a second. But while I'm waiting for that, I'm just going to kind of go through my stuff, right? So I put on my list, and there's a reason for this if you follow me on Instagram, high lift jack is one of my favorite things right now because as I mentioned, I went camping last weekend. No idea what I did. Like, it's Hoosier National Forest. There are no trails or anything like that. I literally pulled off the road for a second because I wanted to shoot a new walk around of the truck. So I did one a while ago that's gotten, I think I'm over 14,000 views on that thing now. It's crazy. It's gone crazy. But one of the biggest comments that I get on that video is, wow, it's a lot of you doing what I'm doing now, right? Sitting behind the desk and not showing the truck. More of a talk around than a walk around was one of the comments that really got under my skin in a good way. Like that's the dude was absolutely right. So I wanted to reshoot that and like actually be in the woods and have the truck and kind of literally walk around and go mod by mod all the way around the truck. So I pulled off the road and I went down this pretty rutted, muddy path, and I must have clipped a valve stem or something on my driver's side front tire, and got maybe 20 minutes out of the woods, hit the highway, got going about 70 miles an hour, and then I was like, man, it's pulling. It feels weird. And I started to notice that my steering wheel was, to go straight, was pulling more and more to the right. And so I started to slow down, and as I started to slow down, the left front tire just went poof, and I just lost all pressure. And I had my 7-year-old with me, so that was fun. So he was like screaming in the back, so that was pretty funny. But we pulled over, and sure enough, the valve stem was busted off of the tire. So since then, big thanks to Chad Boyd at Overland Addict, because he's like, hey, you need these Colby quick valve stem replacements. So I've ordered those, and they're on the way. So that's going to be cool. I'm going to replace that with that. But I got to use my high lift, which actually this was the first time I've ever had to use it. Normally I throw the truck up on my hydraulic lift in my garage and work on it there. Now the truck won't actually fit into the garage with the rooftop tent. So I'm going to have to use that high lift even more. But the high lift saved my butt. Got the tire off, got the spare on, and drove home. So the high lift is definitely up there for me. All right, I see a lot of comments coming in, so I'm going to hustle through my stuff and get to you guys. The Wham bumper and the Smitty-built winch on it, added that stuff in there. Super helpful. Haven't had to recover myself with it yet. I've never gotten stuck in the last couple of years yet, anyways. But I've used it to move trees. I used it to pull a neighbor's trampoline out of one of our ponds in the neighborhood, which was pretty fun. Traction mats, one of my favorite things. I have some really crappy cheap ones that I do not recommend. But a good set of traction mats is obviously a good thing to have. So those are my top few for recovery. So let's get to you guys. So Scott S30 says, recovery gear. I love not getting stuck. Yeah, okay, good. That's the easiest way. If you just don't get stuck, you don't need recovery gear, right? Jack says, before I had a winch, I had a high lift jack. Used the high lift jack to winch myself out of places many times. Now I have a winch and I still bring the high lift jack. That's also, I'd be interested to see if I can make it to core. I'm still trying to convince the wife that we shouldn't just go on a vacation and I should be able to go to core this year. But like I've definitely heard of that, using it as a winch essentially. But I've never gotten to do that or seen how to do that. So I'd love to like take a class or watch somebody talk about recovery stuff, because that's one of those things I definitely need to know more about. So that's cool. Curtis says kinetic rope. That stuff is amazing. Good gloves. That's a great point that is underspoken most of the time. Traction boards. Definitely true. Looking at an ARB, X-Jack, airbag. Those things are cool. I actually am pretty excited about those things. Looking into a high lift since I won't be putting a winch on. Yeah, that's super cool, Curtis. DeGroot. What's up, Grooters? He says, best product I've used with a high lift is the adapter to hook to the sliders. Yeah, I have that thing, and I misused it, I abused it, and I destroyed it. So now I have to get another one. But that thing is pretty sweet. Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Slides over the flat jack. Yep, misused that thing and tried to pull my hydraulic lift out of the garage with it, and it just shredded the straps. So, but the thing with the little U shape that attaches to the mouth of the thing is pretty awesome. I need that because I was sketched out when I was jacking the truck up off the sliders. I was just watching it, and I'm like, I feel like it's moving. You know, it just kind of just sketches me out. So I need to get that thing for sure. And then Curtis says, yeah, synthetic rope is awesome. Yeah, I'd never seen synthetic rope until maybe like a couple years ago. Like the, what's that big name brand of them? The bungee type rope. But I watched a guy in like, I think it was a Dodge Ram 1500 buried up to his frame in mud. And a dude in another truck get in front of him, and the dude floored it. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm used to like a typical like recovery strap or toe strap. I'm like, he's going way too fast. And the dude just goes, and it's just like a bungee cord, right? Like he goes, the rope stretches, and then that thing just went boop, and it just lifted right up. It was amazing. Bubba rope. Yes, thank you. Bubba rope. That's what I was thinking of. That stuff is crazy amazing. Voodoo rope, same stuff. Yeah, it doesn't really matter the name, brand of it. I've seen the Bubba rope stuff in action, and it was it was pretty cool. You have to have a lot of room. I feel like you have to have, depending on the length of it, I guess, but you have to have some running room to use it. But definitely for like stuck trucks in mud and stuff, then there you go. Yeah, cool. All right, so that was recovery. So we've kind of covered recovery. So next, start thinking about your stuff here. Food, cooking, and prep. Tire plug kit. Yeah, you're right. I would also say, yes, Bubba Rope Jack, you're right. The tire plug kit is definitely an important thing. I have been all over, like I went 10 hours each way to West Virginia. I have a full-size spare. I've never had, I went to the Trans-Wisconsin Adventure Trail. I've been to Kentucky a couple times. I've been to the Manistee area of Michigan. I've never, ever had a flat ever in my truck until last weekend. Never. I have no idea how. I have no idea why I'm that lucky. So I've never carried one, but as soon as I get a flat, and like right now, I don't have a spare because I don't have a valve stem until I get these Colby replacement ones in. So if I got a flat right now, I'd be screwed. So yeah, it's, oh, thanks, Chad. You like the shirt? For those of you that are nerds out there like me, that's from Zelda, Link, yeah. Nice. But yeah, thank you, Chad. I was just talking about you for telling me about the Colby valve stem replacement. So they're in the mail right now. I can't wait to get them. But those I would definitely put under recovery too, because after my recent experience of destroying a valve stem randomly in Hoosier National Forest, which doesn't even have trails, it's a good thing to have on you for sure. So moving forward, oh, Groot says he's plugged 10 of them on the trail. It might be a social thing. It might be. I'm just a lone wolf, Groot. I'm just by myself out there, taking it easy like an old man, like a grandpa, you know. And I don't ever pop tires. I don't know what it is. Food prep, yes. All right, we're moving on. Thank you for keeping me on track, Groot. So food, cooking, and prep. I don't know why I get excited about this. I just think there's something really cool about, like, it, you know, and it's part of it's my drawer system and having the double burner stove that pops out of there and everything. But like, I used to just be a hot dogs and like Lunchables guy. Like easier, just throw it in the cooler and, you know, get a fresh stick and sharpen the end of it and throw a hot dog on it and cook it over the fire and you're good to go. But the more that I go on trips and the longer the trips become, the more I want like the steak and potatoes and like, you know, I want to cook. I want to like make some real food. I want to pre-prep stuff in bags like a real overlander, right? And like bring out this like amazing stuff. So since then I've started to pick up a lot of cooking gear. So my favorite stuff, and I've got some of it here. I tried to grab some before I came down here. But so mess kits. These things, I've got 2 of these now, these Yuko mess kits. I love these things. And there's a couple reasons. One, they're very cheap. Like for the 4-piece kit, which is my blue and gray one, which is in the wash right now because I used it last weekend, it's like $12 for that thing. And it comes with the top and the bottom. So the bottom is more like a bowl. The top is more like a plate. It comes with a fork spoon. It's not a spork. It has a fork on one end and a spoon on the other, so it's a fork spoon. So it comes with that, and then I don't remember what the 4th piece is. Maybe it's a strap. Maybe they count the strap. But these things are super cool. So you've got, you know, a shallower plate style thing and a little bit deeper bowl style thing. You can see here I've got, this is from my other set. This is the spoon fork. And then this is the 6-piece kit, the orange one, and it actually comes with like a separate spoon and fork, and then there's a knife. If you can, I don't know if you can see it up here or not. When you take these things apart, they kind of clip together, but when you take them apart, there's a knife on the end of the spoon, which is kind of handy. But like, you know, and I've had several people comment when I do like reviews and stuff on these things, and they're like, you know, oh, well, it's cheap, or oh, it's plastic, or why don't you go with titanium or stainless steel or whatever? And it's like, I agree. I think that that's a good idea, sure, but like you're going to spend 5 times as much, right? And as long as you're smart about it, as long as I'm not like throwing like boiling water in this thing or something, then it's I've used them for years and had no problems with them, any sort of warping or anything like that. I just think they're sharp little pieces of kit. They're inexpensive. They're easy to find. They sell these things at like Walmart and Target. On Amazon is where I got mine. But I just think they're great. And I like that there's 2 pieces. They also have a seal in there, so you could throw food, like leftover food in there. push it together, it seals up, and you can put it in your cooler and like keep steak for the next morning and have steak and eggs for breakfast if you had steak for dinner and didn't eat it all. So just kind of a cool piece of kit. All right, I'm going to hustle through because I see a bunch of comments here. My cooler, it's a Chinese Yeti knockoff called the F40 CMTP, some string of numbers and letters. When this video is done, I'll put links to all this stuff I'm talking about in the description. But it's basically a 20-liter Yeti knockoff rotoformed cooler. The cooler itself, I think, is about 120 bucks. So it's not super cheap, but it's way cheaper than the comparable Yeti. And it's a fantastic cooler. Like I've taken it on. I took it on my 4-day trip to West Virginia, and it held ice the whole time. I think I bought one small bag of ice like 3 days in, and dumped it in there just to keep beer cold because I bought new beer at a grocery store or something when we were traveling between trails, and it held ice the whole weekend. It was like probably like 80s too. Like it was hot, 80s, 90s. It was a hot summer weekend that we went on that trip. So it's actually a fantastic cooler. I'll put a link to these too. There is a $12 set that fit the thing perfectly. There's a pin that pulls out. You put in the new ones, put the pins back through, and I've had those on there for over a year now, and they are flawless. They're super tough, way better, and so for 12 bucks it fixed the whole cooler, and still for 132 bucks, let's call it, way cheaper than buying a Yeti. So I love that cooler. It's great. And 20 liters is a good size. I think you can get, I want to say it's like 36 cans or something like that. Like I've definitely taken, 12 to 18 beers in there, no problem. And plus food and all that stuff and ice. So eventually want to have the fridge freezer, of course. Need the deep cycle battery, a bigger deep cycle battery to be able to run that. But for now, cooler does a good job. Utensils kits. So I think I've got these down here too. Let me see if I can find these things. Yeah, I've got some of them. So I've got this thing, which I actually really like, the CRKT Eaton tool, they call it. It's a little short. So like if you want, that's why the Yuko-ware stuff is a little nicer because it's longer. So it's more like eating with normal stuff. But this thing's actually pretty cool. So it's got, I think, an 8, a 10, and a 12 mil socket on it. It's got a bottle opener. I forget what the circle thing is for. It's for something. It comes with the carabiner attached. So like after you get done eating, you rinse it off under your water, and then you can hang it up and let it dry when you're done eating. So that's kind of handy. Plus it's tiny. You can also strap it to your backpack. So I just kind of keep this thing on me all the time. And then with my cooking kit, I got this stuff, which is garbage. Again, the Yuko-ware stuff is nicer because it's more like regular silverware. But I use these for my kids just because they're tiny. They fold out, and then you just kind of squeeze them, and they clip into place, and you got a little fork. So again, I prefer the other ones for myself, but my kids don't care. And just to have extras for like if somebody's not prepared or somebody doesn't have any, just keep a little baggie full of these little things. So that's kind of cool stuff. And then the last US bag's Happy Camper. That's where I'm digging all this stuff out of. I showed it to you guys last time, but it's this big old bag that's got all my cooking stuff in it. So that thing is pretty awesome too. So that is my last piece of stuff for cooking. So let's catch up with you guys here. So tactical Tupperware. Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much what it is. We got Extreme Buzz, new person. Howdy. I don't have a spare because wrong size tire on the Xterra, and the spare is OEM, and the tire on mine is, oh yeah, slightly off. You could probably use it in a pinch though. I mean, it'd be better than, those temporary donuts and stuff, even if it is a little bit off, just to limp you to the next place. Curtis says, picking up a Camp Chef 2-burner stove, but currently just rocking a single burner backpacking stove. Those things are cool too. The Camp Chef stuff looks pretty nice. I have literally the cheapest possible. Like I have that Coleman, $40 Coleman 2-burner stove, and I've had it for like 3 years. And I use it all the time. The only complaint that I have about it is you have almost no control over the like temperature. It's almost like on off, or like you maybe have like 3 settings if you're really lucky, but it's just you don't have a lot of fine control over it. It's just like it's on or off basically. But it works, it works fine. And I recently got this thing, the accompanying Coleman double burner stove griddle. as a gift for something. I don't even remember what I got it for, but it fits perfectly on top of the stove, and man, it regulates the heat so much better. So I've actually just been using that for like everything. I cooked sausages on it. I've done hamburgers on it. Did some potatoes, I think, once on it, but it works great. It's nonstick and just it works really well. So what we got? It's because you're getting old now. Okay, yeah, thanks. Poking fun at me. That's cool. Gone full circle on that. Prep, and just warm it is my go-to. So Groot says he's gone the other way, right? So he's gone farther away from the fancy cooking, and he just preps it all ahead of time and then just warms it up and goes. Which, you know, I'm not talking about like those ASMR videos where like I'm like taking like I just killed a deer and I'm like taking the meat and like using my giant cleaver on a rock to cut it. I'm not talking. That's not me at all. I'm not talking that legit. I'm just talking like maybe not hot dogs and ramen, you know. I might mix it up a little bit or like make a plastic bag full of fresh vegetables and meat and then just dump it into a skillet. Extreme Buzz says, I want to get the Scottle, but I have to build an organizer for the X, but have a Great Dane. Yeah, that would take up 90% of the room in the X, I imagine. Man, that is a big dog. Hey, Nissan Nation Productions, thanks for the $1.99. You're the man. Tips encouraged. No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to guilt you guys. God, you guys are all over it. All right, I'm catching up. Single burner gas stove, that's cool. Rack to go on the fire for cast iron skillet. That's cool too. I had one of those steel racks that you can just set on a fire. I've also seen, and I will post it up in the description after this. I don't remember what it's called. I think it's called like the Bayou something or other, but it's like a giant, really thick cast iron, essentially like a scuttle, but I don't think it's as rounded. It's a little more flat, but it just has 3 legs that you screw into the bottom of it, and you can put it over a campfire. And that thing looks pretty cool, and it's like $26. So I've had it in my watch list on Amazon for a while, so I'll post up a link to that below, but I'm really thinking about getting that and using it as sort of a knockoff scuttle, a faux oddle, if that's a thing. Brett says my forks, knives, and spoons are metal from the dollar store. Yeah, I mean, that works. I used to go to the dollar store and just get pots and pans all the time. Saw one at Walmart tonight. Didn't know if they were any good. Oh, the Yuko-ware stuff. I mean, for the price, it's a great deal. I think that's great stuff. Curtis says AeroPress for coffee is my favorite. See, I'm not a coffee person. I know I'm a weirdo, but these things are so much easier. Throw a couple of these in the cooler, and I'm good for the weekend. I've just never been into coffee, and then I feel like it's so much work to make when you're on a trip. Like I see people do it, and I'm like, oh my god. I do wish they made a stainless steel version of the press, though. That's cool. Yep. Okay, Overland Addict says he has a Cook Partner 2 burner stove and griddle. So yeah, so he doesn't even take his scuttle on trips anymore. I've seen people posting those. God, what are they called? They're like a built-in griddle. I forget what they're called. I'll look them up here while we're talking. Also, Lee messaged me here, so let me let him know I'm good. All right, so yeah, I forget what it's called, but I'm gonna find it, and I'll put it in the description too. But it's like a built-in griddle. It's basically just like a stove with a built-in griddle on top of it, and it just looks awesome because like why not griddle everything? I mean, it just makes everything easier and spreads the heat more, as far as I'm concerned. So I never put anything directly on the rack on my burner. I put it in a pot and put it on there. I put it, so that kind of seems like a good idea. Hey, Dave from Nissan Nation's Productions. It's called Nissan Nation Productions now. I will remember that and never call it the old thing again. Brett says he's about to order a 40-quart Engel. That's good stuff. Talk to Chad Boyd at Overland Addict. Go to overlandaddict.com and check him out. He's got stuff. I don't know. You have Engels, I think, Chad. But he has a bunch of cool stuff, like the new Luna fridges and stuff. Like he has a bunch of cool stuff on there, and he can hook you up. Groot says, Dave, Overland Pioneers. Jeremiah, what's up, buddy? Loves his Snowmaster. Yeah, I've heard really good stuff about Snowmaster. 55 beers in it. And you're sponsored by Country Boy Beers. I know this because you're the envy of me, because I really want a beer sponsorship. I'm not kidding. And I've said that a million times, and I will continue to say it until a local brewery says, we just need to give this guy beer and shut him up. So I'm sure you know that there's 55 beers that can fit in there because you get free beer, which is amazing. Great job. Curtis says got the Jack Hawk 9000 knife. We're not on to the bladed weapons yet, Curtis. What are you talking about? um, oh, are you talking about that could be used for cooking? I'm with you. Overland Pioneer says just got the Gerber Devour multi-fork. I'm gonna have to look that up. I have no idea what that is, but it sounds amazing. Gerber has a mini cleaver that I just found the other day randomly, and it is amazing looking. I kind of want it just because it's badass, but it's like that long maybe, and it's just like the meanest little cleaver that you've ever seen. And I probably wouldn't even use it for cooking, but I just think it's really cool. Groot says, if you don't have an Overland fork, are you even overlanding? No, I don't think so. Gears are Titan swag. I carry 2 of the Yuko titanium sporks. Those things are cool. Backroads Nomad, what's up, man? They work great. Yeah, those I think those things are cool. They're a little pricey, but that's a cry once, buy once kind of thing. Sun Nation Production says I use Walmart forks. Thank you, Buzz, for the tip. I appreciate it. Oh God, yeah, Dave saw the Monster. Yes, I'm drinking Monster because it's late and I haven't had beer for 4 days, so I'm like in a constant state of hangover. Truck accessories, roof racks, etc. You lost me at no coffee. Sorry, Scott. Damn it. Curtis, hello, Blackstone. Keep up the great work. Thanks, Buzz. Man, that's awesome. I appreciate it. Not a big coffee drinker, but I bet on a frosty morning after camping I'll want a large cup. Yeah, I mean, that's true. Yes, you're right. I do want a beer sponsor really bad. So let's talk about this for just a second before we dive back into the stuff. So ever since I saw Overland Pioneers had Country Boy Brewing, and like literally all of his videos start with sponsored by Country Boy Brewing. I'm like, I watch those videos and like my mouth starts watering, and I'm just like, this dude has it figured out. I'm so jealous, because he has. I would take a Monster sponsorship too. I literally have a subscribe and save for these things. I get a case of them a month. So if that tells you what my life is like, there you go. But I really want a beer sponsorship just because think of the ROI, guys. Think of the return on investment. So you're a small brewery. You don't have a marketing budget really, right? If I could get 2 cases of beer, 48 beers a month, that would make me so happy. And that would be enough that I could even hand it out to trips and stuff. I would literally put the brewery's name at the beginning of every video. I'd put them in the description with a link to their website. What is a brewery's actual cost for like 48 beers a month? $20? Maybe? I doubt it. Maybe. I mean, it depends on their canning costs and that sort of stuff. But I mean, the payoff would be huge. So if you own a brewery, let me know. I'm looking for sponsorship. Buzz says that Monster's nasty. I mean, you know, it's got a little kick to it for sure. The purple one is about the only one I like. So yeah, Virtual Expo. What is that? I want anyone who will sponsor me so I can get sassy with 40-inch tires. Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, I'd love to just get 35s under mine, but Curtis says I might get sponsored by Zima or Mike's Hard Lemonade. I'm not as interested in that. I'm an IPA guy. Like, I need something with some bite to it. Although, you know, Mike's Hard Lemonade has bite, I think, right? Isn't that their slogan? So, all right, cool. Anyways, all right, we're diving back into it. So that was food, cooking, and prep. I think we got a few things from you guys in there. So next, heat. So start thinking and typing now. I'm caught up. We're moving forward. White Claws. There you go. No, my wife will take the White Claws. Hit the thumbs up for ATO. Yes, IPA time to slay. Exactly, right, Curtis? You and I are on the same wavelength here. So heat. Talking about heat. And what I mean by this is anything from fire starting to keeping yourself warm like blankets and stuff to chemical hand warmers to electric hand warmers to heated seat pads and stuff like that. Like anything related to heat. Again, I'm a winter camper, so I'm biased. So like this is something that I think about all the time. These are things that I love to buy. I look at all the time online. I'm actually probably going to do a video reviewing all the different electric hand warmers that I have and comparing them and contrasting them because I have multiples. But so to start out, I did a review of these not too long ago, and they're kind of silly, and I don't think I still have any down here. But the Weber fire starting cubes, they're like $4 or $5 for a box of 24 of them. I have them on subscribe and save too. They come every month, so I've just got boxes of these things in the garage. But they're just like little white chemical cubes. They look like an ice cube tray. 24 of them in a thing. Super cheap. They light up easy with a lighter or a match. You toss a couple of them in the fire, and boom, they burn for like 5 to 7 minutes. It's super easy. I don't have to take lint and wax and melt things into egg crates and do all this work. I just, once a month, the box shows up and I throw it in the back of the truck and I'm good to go. So those things are definitely one of my favorite things that make starting a fire super easy. When I went, the things are just so easy. Just light up and let them burn and just put sticks on top of them with the lint. I kind of had to like blow on it and like spread it apart, and I had to like I felt like a bushcrafter almost. Not really, but I mean, it was like, oh God, I have to like actually try to light a fire now. So those things are pretty nice. I know I'm making myself sound like a wuss. Bic lighters. I know that sounds funny, but dude, they're like $2 and you can get 2 or 3 or 4 of them at the gas station. I always have like 5 of those in my truck. They just work. They're cheap. Again, why spend, I bought like a $30, one of those super fancy rechargeable electric lighters, and like first trip out, it died. It stopped working like before I ever even got to use it. So now I just stick with like the cheap Bics. I've got a bunch of matches in the truck too, just in case, as like what I would consider a mechanical backup. But so again, cheap and simple is where I'm at with most things. Wool blanket. I have an Ectos 80/20 wool blanket, and that thing has been a lifesaver. I went camping probably 8 or 10 times over this last winter. And in the past, so I have a 0-degree bag, but I'm pretty sure that's a survival rating, not a comfort rating, because it is not that warm in the winter. But when I took that wool blanket, I basically laid it on my cot, laid my sleeping bag on top, and then folded it over me. It's huge. I slept like a baby every night. That one blanket, that wool blanket, made the difference. That, and then you throw a couple of electric hand warmers in the bag with you too, and I slept like a baby. So that brings us to electric hand warmers. They're just they're rechargeable. They're basically like little battery packs, but they have heating elements on both sides. I didn't know these were a thing. So if you didn't know they were a thing, now you do. But they're like $20-25 for some of the nicer ones. So again, I'll do a review on these because I've tried like 3 different kinds of them now. But I have one that literally went for like 10 hours straight. And it was the best thing. It was like 5 degrees outside when I was camping, and that thing was a lifesaver. It was amazing. And then just as another sort of mechanical backup to that, the hot hands, the things that you just, once they hit the air, they start to warm up. Those things are awesome too. And then the heated seat pad, which I did a review of not too long ago. The thing is $15 on Amazon, guys. You plug it into your plug in your vehicle. It goes up to 150 degrees. It's push button. It straps to your seat. I bought another one, and I'm planning to do like a DIY mod sort of thing where I'm going to try and hook it up to a battery pack and put it inside of a sleeping bag and like use it as a sleeping bag warmer, basically, almost like a heated blanket for the inside. But they're so cheap, you just can't go wrong. So let's catch up with you guys here. Where are we? There we got the 40-inch tires, IPA. Okay, Scott S30 says he's running 35s on his X. Are you Titan swapped? All right, Groot says nice. Extreme Buzz says off-road navigation. Nissan Nation Productions says friction. A little inappropriate, but yeah, sure, you could do that. The Xterra Straight Fire making babies. Yep, we're going off track here. Goal, Zero Yeti, and 12-volt electric blanket. Yeah, that hiking guy, welcome. That is a great idea. I really would love it if I could find like some smaller company that does like battery packs, like the big one, like the Jackeries or the Yetis or the Goal Zero Yeti, like those type, like a 500 to 1,000, those size of batteries. Because man, I feel like I could get a fridge. I could do all kinds of stuff. But those things are fairly expensive still right now, but they're awesome. So that's a great idea. The electric blanket's a great idea. Overland Pioneer says 12-volt Amazon seat heating pad to sleep on does the trick. Yeah, that's exactly what I was just talking about. That's cool. So I just have to figure out how to power it for a whole night. Cool tip for the fire starter: dryer lint mixed with petroleum jelly. You can store them in prescription bottles or firm bottles or anything. Yep, that is true. Hiking guy says tested down to 16 degrees. U.S. Navy gray wool blanket. Yeah, I was shocked. Like, I'd heard that wool blankets were warm, but I'd never owned one before. And then I bought that one. It was like $25-30 on Amazon. And I took it with me, and I love it. I want it at home. I want to buy like 5 more of them. Blackbeard fire starters. Yeah, Chad, I saw that you guys carry that now. Totally waterproof, right? You can throw them in the creek and then take them out and cut them up and light them. Those things are cool. Go to overlandaddict.com to pick those up. You realize it's worth you coming on this chat, right, Chad? Because I just like plug your channel, your website nonstop. If you like Nissans, go to NissanNationPodcast.com, which is still the site, I believe, even though it's now Nissan Nation Productions, and check them out. I'm going to do this all night, guys. Scott Hudson, hello from Ontario, Canada. Welcome. That's awesome. I love Canada. I went to Niagara Falls, and it was one of the most beautiful places I've been to. Hi, Scott. Heated turbo toilet. I haven't gotten that technical yet. The turbo toilet I did test last time. Real world test. Love it. The packability of it, awesome. The height of it, maybe not so much. I may have to figure out a way to make it a little taller because it's only about 12 inches tall, so I kind of felt like I was going to fall down trying to sit on the thing. But it worked. It worked great. It was fine. It was good. But a heated turbo toilet would be amazing. Maybe the next step is heated turbo toilet with a bidet. Maybe that's the ultimate Overlander's toilet. Chad, Overland Addict, says merino, wool-based layers, wool socks, wool hat. Yep, 0 degree bag, and he sleeps like a baby, no heater needed. That's a great point, too. Like, I used to be really underprepared from a clothing standpoint. Like, I just wear normal, like, you know, ankle height socks like I would wear normally every day, and I'd wear, you know, just like normal stuff. But since I've become more of a winter camper, wool socks, definitely layers is the way to go. I like my fleece stuff too, just because it's comfortable. But if you're wearing the right clothes, then it's a whole different ballgame. If you're not wearing the right clothes, then it doesn't really matter what you have. You have to overcompensate with a bunch of other gear. So that's a great point. Curtis says, darn tough socks are pretty much my religion for socks, only ones I own and buy. Overland Addict says, preheat the temp before I go to bed and when I wake up. Mr. Buddy Heater. Yeah, because you don't want all that condensation. Anchor for battery packs. Yeah. I've got a few Anchor, like smaller power banks, and they're great. Okay, Scott says that he is Titan swap. That makes sense. Rear end coils up front with a Titan swap. Yeah, nice. Nissan Nation Podcast says check is in the mail. You already technically donated money earlier and last time, so consider us even. Like you're paid up. Of course, Chad, plugs anytime. I mean, I've bought several things from you, and your automation is really smart on your website too. Like it thanked me for buying more stuff from you, which is good stuff. That kit stuff that you're using, I went and looked at it. It's pretty cool. Yeah, so like the whole point of the turbo toilet, Kurt, now we're back on the toilet. We're just going to talk about toilets all night. The whole point of the turbo toilet was that it took up less room than like a 5-gallon bucket, right? But so now I've got the turbo toilet and it's fantastic, but it's just really low. So now I'm kind of like, what do I take, like a log with me everywhere that I can set down and then put the turbo toilet on top of that to get it to the right height, which defeats the whole purpose. But it's not that bad. I mean, it's not like, I don't want you guys to think that I spend like 3/4 of my trip on the toilet. It's still better than leaning against a tree or something or sitting on a shovel. So yeah, Hard Enduro, what's up? How you doing? Buzz. Are you saying where am I out of? I'm out of Indiana, if you're asking me. If not, just let whoever you're talking to know. Thank you, Nissan Nations Productions, for the shout out that he paid for. Yes, appreciate it. Hard Enduro says he's doing a Titan swap now with 35s. That's sweet. California, sweet. Nice. All right, I'm going to move us forward because we're at 47 minutes, although I did screw up the first 10 minutes, so we're doing okay. So next, shelter. Right? So there are a million different things that we can talk about with shelters. We could talk about tarps. We can talk about hammock camping with a tarp over it. We can talk about gazelle tents, or, you know, I used to have a $50 Coleman Instant Up tent, which was great. It was really fantastic. Thank you, Overland Addict, for the tip. I appreciate it. That's my tip for buying the Colby things from you, isn't it? That's your margin. Thanks. But so there's a million different things that we can talk about with shelter, right? But so the things that I'm going to list out here, and you guys post up in the comments and tell me, tell me what your favorite shelter type items are. Like, what is your favorite tent if you've had a few of them? If you've heard any of my stuff before, you know I've gone through a number of iterations on my sleeping setup. But still, one of my favorite things, one of my first things was I got a Kelty Noah tarp. It's a 9-foot. That thing is amazing. Great quality, super waterproof, tons of grommets and different configurations that you can do with it. It's just a great tarp. And I've had, again, I'm a cheap person generally. So like generally I'm like you know, I'll just buy a cheap tarp and throw it up. But I kid you not, that was worth it. That was like a $50, $60 tarp. I think I got it as a Christmas present a few years ago, and I still have that thing. I carry it in my truck every time. I use it as a wall sometime on my Tough Stuff awning. Sometimes I decide just to throw up a hammock and sleep in a hammock. I'll throw that thing up above me, just keep the condensation off of me. It's a fantastic tarp for the money. So the Kelty Noah tarp is up there for me. My Tough Stuff awning on the side is great. I am getting really super enticed by like Chad and Jeremiah at Overland Pioneers. He has a 270 awning on his thing now, and they're so cool. You just released a video today, if you're still there, Jeremiah. So go check out Overland Pioneers. He just released a video today of this badass 270 awning and rooftop tent. And I watched the whole thing because I was just like drooling. I was like, oh, I want that so bad, because the only bad thing about the Tough Stuff is, and again, I'm mostly a solo overlander, so when I go out on a trip, I'm unrolling this thing from the side of the truck, right? And then you put a leg down and you're balancing this thing on like my back, and I'm trying to drop a leg, and I just look like an idiot trapped in an umbrella or something, right? And I drop one of the legs, I drop the other leg, but then I got to kind of like lean it towards me, walk back to the truck, undo one of the vertical poles, bring it and attach it. And then it's kind of standing up, but it's still trying to fall down. So then I'm grabbing the other side and I'm pulling that out. It's a nightmare until it's set up. Once it's set up, it's amazing. And you can do it solo and it's fine. If you have help, it's even better. But the awning itself is great. Like, it doesn't take up a ton of room. When it goes up, it's away. But I always have it on my truck. It's just you kind of look like an idiot when you're setting it up by yourself because you just can't avoid it. It's just not possible to set up. But those 270 awnings, holy shit, those things are amazing. Like, you literally like undo a couple straps and then just like fold it out and attach it, and you're done. You're done. If you want to throw legs up, you can, but it's self-supporting. They're so cool. So someday I will have one of those guys, but for now, the Tough Stuff is a great awning as well, and I love it. And then I threw in here that my do-it-yourself rooftop tent. I'm still figuring it out. I got a great suggestion from someone the other day on the DIY rooftop tent. The waterproofing of it. So originally my plan was to put the tent inside the box and then run the tent material to the outside of the bottom part of the box, and then that would be how I would waterproof it, right? So basically water would hit it and would run down, it would run off the outside of the box. Problem is, when I built my box, didn't have the tent yet. I went off the dimensions online and the box is too big. So now the tent sits inside of the box, which is fine. But on the DIY rooftop tent thing the other day, somebody else posted up about it saying, hey, how are you waterproofing this tent, blah, 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 blah. And somebody directed me to this website, and I'll find it and I'll put it in the description of this video too, but it's like custom fabric stuff. And they have this stuff called Ottertex, like OTTER. It's like waterproof canvas, 600 denier, like super nice stuff. And I got 5 yards of it for like $36 shipped. So it's a heck of a deal, and it's literally like exactly the dimensions that I need. I basically got it to the dimensions that I need to waterproof the thing. So I'm basically going to roll it up into the box, and then if it's going to rain or I think there's going to be a lot of condensation, I'll unsnap it basically and throw it down over the outside of the box. Good to go. But so I'm figuring that out. But the DIY rooftop tent for shelter it's so much faster to set up, and I just love it. So, all right, I'm going to catch up here. So thank you, Chad, for the donation. Brett, thanks. You're awesome. Thanks for the donation. Scott, you too, man. Appreciate it. I want you guys to realize, like, that's not my intent at all, right? Like, I do appreciate it, and I love seeing it, and it makes me feel really good that you guys are enjoying the content. But what it does do is, like, as I keep doing this, right? Like, I've been doing this for like 10 months now and not really making any money or anything off of it. Like, the more that I can sort of prove it to the wife that it is actually worth my time, like, the more stuff I can do, right? The more trips she'll let me take and stuff like that. I sound like a prisoner. I sound like I'm a slave or a prisoner or something. That's not the case. But I am trying to, like, make this a thing and do it more and more. So I appreciate you guys. So thank you. So let's catch up on your stuff for shelters here because I'm way behind. All right, we already said hi to Hard Enduro. Goose Down Sleeping Booties. Okay, Jack, that's weird, but that's cool, I guess. I'm trying to take you seriously. I need to get paid so I can finish my swaps as Extreme Buzz. Yeah, money is always a problem, isn't it? Overland Addicts says sponsorship payment. Appreciate it. I will start repping you on all my videos now. Ground tents only so far here. Could sleep in the truck in a pinch, says Curtis. All Scott says, what are your thoughts on truck bed tents? I've seen a few of them. I mean, having the SUV, I've slept in the back of the SUV a couple times. I think the truck bed tents seem cool. And I don't think that they're super expensive. I think they're fairly reasonably priced compared to like a rooftop tent or something. I think they're kind of cool. Extreme Buzz has never really vehicle camped, so still trying to learn. Yeah, no, that's how you do it. The best thing is just go out and take a cheap tent with you, and that's how you start, right? Or hammock. I really like hammock camping. I'm still kind of a hammock camper guy. Curtis says, Scott, get a good mattress. That's true. Like, if you're sleeping in the bed of your truck, it's going to be awful. But if you have appropriate, mats or inflatable mattresses, things like that, it's not so bad. Hard Enduro says, sold my rooftop tent, only got it for the wife and kids, just bought the Camprite tent cot. How do you like that, the tent cot thing? I love the idea of that. I love the idea of hammock, like all-in-one hammock solutions. If you've seen those, they're a little bit more rigid on the bottom, and they have like a mattress in them almost, and a netting and a tent over top of them, and it's like all one piece, but I feel like they're like $300 or $400. So I've always had a hard time like justifying it, because what if I go someplace and I don't have trees or a setup where I can use it, and for that much money, it's kind of like, again, I spent less than that on my rooftop tent, which is on the top of my truck, and I just climb up and go to bed. It takes me 10 seconds to set up. So Scott says, looking at an ARB awning room, those are super cool. Yeah, those are super cool. That's on the West Virginia trip. Andrew, one of the guys that went with us, had a trailer with an awning off of it and the room type deal for it, and that's what he used as his shelter. He just zipped the walls on, set up a cot in there, and went to sleep. And he said it was amazing. So, okay, everybody is now talking about how being married is like being in prison. So I'm just going to glaze right over that and keep moving. Scott says, I've got right line truck tent, debating on air mattress or doing a stealth truck cab camper. Yeah, so I've tried air mattresses multiple times, and I've burned through every single one of them. And I hate waking up laying on the flat, hard surface of the back of the Xterra. Like, that has happened to me multiple times where the air mattress, even good ones, even like $100 air mattresses, like just, I wake up and it's flat. I don't know if it has a hole in it or if it's just going flat or what. So I try to stay away from air. That's why I went to memory foam. I actually, just because I'm cheap, I buy like a regular like mattress topper, like a 2-inch mattress topper. I bought a full, which is 54 inches across, and then I cut it in half. So in half, I've got 4 inches of foam now, 27 inches across, about 6.5 feet long. And that thing is great. Like, it's super comfy. I've used it on my cot. I used to just roll it up and keep it in the truck, and then I would, lay it out on a cot. Now with the rooftop tent, it's just permanently up in the tent with my sleeping bag on top and a pillow up there, and then I just close the whole thing and I drive away. So it's great. Awesome. All right, Extreme Buzz says alcohol might be taking over now. For me, I don't have any alcohol. I wish I did. This is just the monster talking at this point, so it's only going to get worse. All-in-one hammock is correct. Paid $189 on eBay. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. If you follow me on Facebook, Hard Enduro, go over there and like message me or something. Like, send me a link to it, or share it on the page so everybody can see it. Or share a link here if you want, whatever's easiest. Because that doesn't seem too bad for a couple $100 for an all-in-one hammock. Hammock camping makes me nervous. Big man certified 6'2" and 260. We're not that far apart. I'm 6'2" and about 230 right now. I'm inching up there. I'm catching up with you. Dave from Nissan Nation Production says he's back. But I mean, I've been in a hammock. Those hammocks will hold a ton of weight, man. I kid you not. Like, I've seen 350 pound dudes sleep in hammocks, and they do fine. So, like, they're so comfortable. If you get it set up right, man, I love sleeping in a hammock. Brett says Gazelle T3. I've been seeing those Gazelle tents everywhere, and I just think they're sweet. I think the setup is nice, and I've heard that the quality is top notch. Now, they're a little pricey, but like not bad. A couple $100, I think $200 to $300, depending on which one you get. But they're sweet. Scott says my wife goes camping with me, winning. That's pretty cool. My wife goes occasionally, but it's almost easier just to go by myself, so I don't have to like set up all the stuff. Like with her, whenever the wife goes, like there's never a night where I'm like, nah, I don't really need the awning, or nah, I don't need to do that extra work. It's just more stuff to tear down tomorrow. It's like we're setting everything up. We want all the chairs out, the drawers are all pulled out, the tent's open, the awning's out, everything gets set up. Thank you, Jeremiah, for the donation. Use this for beer only. I mean, that's pretty much all I spend my money on. I can't leave the house, so like I don't buy gas or food or anything. Beer is all I buy. So thank you. Appreciate it. Now, if you know another Country Boy beer, that's even better than money. Just hook me up with a connection. All right, I'm catching up here. Which beer should he buy, Overland Pioneers? Yeah, tell us which beer should I buy. I think I know what you're going to say. We're going off the rails here in chat, that is for sure. Hard Enduro's looking for the link. That's awesome. Thank you, sir. I mean, it's not a huge deal, but if you can find it. I think it's from the Monster. I hope it's from the Monster. Or I'm just drooling. I don't think I'm drooling. All right, final section here, guys. We're gonna finish this up tonight. I'm gonna let you go before you all fall asleep. So knives and bladed tools. I'm kind of a knife guy. I kind of like knives. I don't hate guns. I've got a couple crappy guns. I need to get some better guns. I kind of want to get into guns, but I've never really had them. My parents weren't gun people at all. But I love going to the range and shooting. My next gun will be some sort of a handgun for sure, because I don't have any of those. I just have a single shot 20 gauge shotgun that I inherited, and an old school, like a 1930s bolt action 22 rifle, which is actually a ton of fun to shoot. But so staying away from that, because that's a whole nother thing that will take us down a whole rabbit hole. Knives and fixed blades, easy to buy, not very expensive. The wife doesn't kill me for buying, like if I buy a gun, we have to talk about it. If I get a knife, I get knives all the time because they're just fun. So let's talk about knives. So you guys post up, what kind of knives do you guys like? That's what she said. Curtis, man. What kind of knives do you guys like? Axes, what are your go-tos for that stuff? So I just today released a 3-Minute Thursday of my favorite new knife that I just got. It's called, and I brought it down here with me specifically for this. It's called the Oerla. I'm sure it's probably made in China or something, but the Oerla fixed blade knife. This thing is a beast. Look at this thing. I mean, it is just like the most aggressive looking, coolest knife that I think I've ever had. And it came with a razor sharp blade on it that is amazing. So I used this when we went camping last weekend. I used this to like chop stuff up. I used it I did some feather sticking. I'm not a professional at that, but I did some of that. I used it, we did hot dogs, and I used it to sharpen a stick to cook the hot dogs. And this thing is razor sharp. And it just has a really good heft to it. It's super chunky and heavy feeling, but it just fits in the hand really well. I love the big blade. I love the look of it. So, I mean, I really just bought it because it's cool looking. But now that I've used it, I really like this thing. And the sheath is really cool too. So again, I won't give you all of it here. Go watch the 3-Minute Thursday that I just posted if you want to see everything about it. But it has an adjustable belt clip on the back of the Kydex sheath. So you can turn it sideways. You can turn it, vertically. I'm just really impressed with this knife. They make a bunch of them. There are a bunch of Oerlas, and they all have great reviews. It's spelled O-E-R-L-A. But I found them on Amazon, about $30 for this thing. So I love this knife. It's my like go-to camping knife now. It replaces my Schrade. I had a Schrade fixed blade that was okay, but it doesn't really hold an edge very well. I feel like it's never sharp, and I'm always kind of digging when I'm trying to cut through stuff or sharpen stuff. Like I can't do it with that thing, but this thing is amazing. Mora knives, I've got 3 or 4 Mora knives. I just kind of use them for cooking. I've got one mounted up in the back of the truck, just as like a backup knife back there. I've got one that I keep up in the front. I've got one, actually, I can show you. I've got one, oh, it just fell out. I keep it in my cooking bag, this blue Mora. These things are just great knives, right? And this is like a $16 knife, the Mora knife companion, $16. So that's why I have like 4 of them. I mean, $60 for 4 different super sharp knives. Just great quality knives, super inexpensive. So I love my Mora knives. Kershaw knives I've actually become a really big fan of. I daily carry one of 2 Kershaw knives. I have the Brawler, which is an assisted open knife, which I didn't bring down here, that is just awesome. Super aggressive looking, mean, super sharp. Use it every day. Probably carried it for the last 2.5 years. And then recently I got the Kershaw Shuffle, I think it's called. But the thing I like about the Shuffle is it's not assisted open, which is the only downside to it, but it's maybe like 3 inches long. So it's tiny. So when I put it in my pocket, it doesn't bother me. I don't hardly notice it at all. But then if I need to open a box or do just little menial stuff during the day, it's great. And it's right there. So I carry that everywhere I go. My Fisker's axe is another thing that I love. Dude, that Fisker's axe is so sharp, and it was so well priced. Again, I think it was like $30-40 for the Fisker's axe. I have the 31-inch, I want to say. I can never remember the length of it. But it's a great axe, super strong, well made, and inexpensive. I do have a Schrade hatchet, which I like a lot too. I don't find myself using it a ton. I have it strapped to my backpack, so it's just kind of one of those things where, like, if I was hiking or something and I needed to trim some branches, I don't know. If I needed to cut some stuff up and I didn't have access to my truck where my big full-size axe is, I've got my Schrade hatchet on me. And then hatchets, I have a really crappy hatchet, but machete. I have a really crappy machete, but it's really badass looking. It's like some cheapy $20 machete, but it's like 3.5 feet long and just like huge chunk of steel. It looks like one of the swords from like Lord of the Rings that like the orcs used or whatever. Like it's just ridiculous. I never use it. Never use it. So do you guys use machetes? Like, post up and let me know if you guys use machetes. I don't see the point in it for overlanding. Like, if I was hiking more maybe, but I don't use them. All right, I'm catching up on your comments now. Talking about me, yeah, we saw that. Hard Enduro says, I still wheel every weekend. Why are you staying home? Okay, I mean, I went camping last weekend. I'm trying to be good. I'm trying to follow the instructions, right? I'm trying to like not have to stop. That's when I go camping, I can go all the way down to the national forest that's a couple hours away from me and all the way back without stopping for gas. So I feel like I'm being pretty responsible there. Camped in my backyard a few weeks ago with the kids. That was kind of fun. We just built today a fire pit in the backyard, so now it's on. Like now I can just go out there and smoke cigars and drink beers and relax. Drink Country Boy beers, Jeremiah. I'm winking a lot tonight. That's weird. You would think I'd been drinking, but I haven't. I'm just drunk off of being sober. All right. Curtis says, my man, if you have any gun questions, let me know. Works in a shop for about 5 years. We'll steer you right. Well, that's Lee is the other person too. Like Lee, who runs the radio station, he makes guns. Like he builds guns. And when I interviewed him, if you've seen that interview, his back wall behind him is just all like rifles. Just the whole back wall. It's amazing. But I will definitely hit you up, Curtis. Brett says K-Bar anything and some Gerber multi-tools. Yeah. Overland Attic has a Benchmade bug out. Those things are nice. Those things are expensive, but they are nice. I hate to say it, like someday when I'm a big boy, I would like to get like a Benchmade knife. I look at that like $200-ish price tag. And like, again, I spent 30 on this. And so, I mean, I could buy like 7 of these for that price, like I have a hard time like justifying it being sort of like more of a weekend warrior than a full-time overlander. But you're probably right. Like, why do I need 7 knives? I don't. If I just had one really good one that I could resharpen over and over again and keep using, that would probably work a lot better. Benchmade and Essie, yep, heard about those. Those are really nice. Essie for fixed blade. Extreme Buzz says a gun and a blade, 9mm S&W M&P, Bowie knife from Walmart, nice. Also a few razors and a few others almost everywhere. Interesting. I'm gonna remember that if we ever go camping together. I will not mess with you. Hard Enduro says fixed blade only. Folders are for Boy Scouts. Hey, I'm talking about like every day. Like if I'm just like, I work in like a professional environment, so even just carrying the pocket knife gets me looks sometimes. But yeah, I do love this thing. So like I've switched the sheath around so that I can carry it flat, and I carry it on the small of my back when I'm carrying it. I do love it. My shirt gets caught on it all the time, and then I feel like people are going to be like, what's wrong with this guy? Like, why is this guy, is he out of Australia or something? Like, what is this guy doing? Karambits are really cool. I've seen that. I've never used one, but they seem cool. Overland Pioneers needs a place that carries Country Boy beers out here in North Carolina. Yeah, I know. Well, here in Indiana, too, we don't have Country Boy beer. M-Tech makes an excellent Karambit, and M-Tech stuff is really affordable. Like, I like M-Tech stuff, and they have great reviews. He every day carries one. Cool, Brett. In the right hands, a Karambit is by far the best knife for reasons. True. I've never been in a knife fight. I'm going to try and stay out of them. Chad says he uses the Fisker's axe. Also, great axe. I have a machete, but I don't use it often. Maybe just to clear some high brush around camp. Yeah, that's a good idea. Like, again, most of the time when I'm in a camp, if it's Indiana or any of the surrounding areas, like there's nothing to clear. I pull into a clearing and that's where I'm camping. So I'm mostly just processing wood. So that's why I have the axe, and I have my Black & Decker electric chainsaw, which is pretty awesome for that. And then again, I'll do like some stuff to start the fire. I'll chop up some sticks with a knife or try and do feather sticks just to feel like more of a man, I guess. Um, Scott S30 says Talladega has some good camping spots on Trail 600-1. I was out there last week. Extreme Buzz says cigars and beers. Yes, those are my favorite things. I smoked a cigar last night and drank the two. Okay, I said I didn't have any beers. I've had 2 beers since Saturday in my fridge, but I was like, what am I going to do with 2 beers? Like, that doesn't do me any good. So last night, it was actually cooled down a little bit. So I pulled my Yuko flat pack grill out, my little fire pit, set it up in my backyard, put one of my chairs off my deck next to it, and lit up a fire in the backyard and sat out there with my laptop and worked on the Orla knife video and smoked a cigar and drank my 2 beers. So that's what I did last night. How did your first night go in the rooftop tent with the kids? Just listen to that on the podcast. All right, Scott, good question. It was fine. So the tent is not huge. It is a backpacking tent. So it's like 7.5 feet long. So it's really long, but it's only about 36 inches wide. So the last trip that I took was me and my 7-year-old. And so just for the sake of making it as simple as possible, I said, look, you put your head down at the other end by my feet in the back of the box so you don't roll off the roof, right? You stay back there, and then I will lay beside you with my head the other way. So he actually laid up there with me, and it was fine. Like, it was actually pretty comfortable. It's a little tough with somebody else up there. Like, the intention is for it to just be me most of the time, but it worked pretty well. And it was, God, the setup. I mean, to not have to set up a whole nother tent for him. And I mean, it literally, we pulled into camp and I undid the 2 latches and I pushed and it opened up and that was it. And then it started raining in the middle of the night and I had a tarp with me. So I just kind of threw it up over the top of the box because, again, I haven't finalized that waterproofing solution. There were a couple drops in the box, but it didn't rain really hard and it was fine. I slept like a baby. I mean, as much as can be expected when you're camping, right? I do need to figure out some of the padding on the bottom of the box because those 2, again, I haven't really slept in it just me, really. But with the 27 inches wide, it's just not that wide. And with a cot, like, you can feel the edges, but in there you're in like a big box. So I woke up and half my leg was like off the mat. And so my leg was sore, which is a weird problem to have. But overall, I mean, again, the setup for me is worth it. And it's still just as comfortable as it was sleeping on a cot. Or, I mean, I think the only thing that would be more comfortable is a hammock. But again, then you got to tie up a hammock between 2 trees, tie up a tarp between 2 trees, stake it out. Like, you got to, it probably takes 10 or 15 minutes to set up a hammock. It takes me a minute to set up my rooftop tent. So, especially if you drink a few beers, then you don't really notice. You just fall asleep and then you wake up the next morning and everything's great. But if you have a hammock and you have to set it up and you have to find it and get into it and you've had a few beers, then that's a different story. It can be more of a pain. So, overall, though, it was really good. Benchmade bug out is about 125. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. Someday I'll buy a really nice knife. Oops, razor blades. Okay, yeah, that makes more sense. Everyone posts their favorite blade on the ATO Facebook page after chat. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I love knives. Told you the alcohol was taking over. Wait, I want a Country Boy beer. Never had one. Yeah, no, I'm telling you, Jeremiah, you need to work on their distribution. Get the beer out there to the people because we all want it. If you like whiskey, try 3 Rangers Rye. I think I've heard you talk about that, Chad. I'll buy a Country Boy beer if they sponsor Fletch. Thank you, Curtis. Jeremiah, connect me to your sponsor and let's get them some more exposure over here in Indiana. They need distribution first, but I can probably hook them up with people. I'll do whatever it takes. Where they sell? Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. So now we've gone completely off the rails. And now Extreme Buzz thinks that I'm drunk, and I haven't had anything to drink except a Monster, so I don't know what that says about me. But that was pretty much it. That was the chat. We've gone, over an hour now. So, again, I don't want to take up everybody's whole night. But I appreciate you guys all stopping by. So, just to throw out the normal plugs, right? If you're listening on the radio, overlandradio.com, thank you for listening there. Check out their giveaways that they're doing on there. They're doing some cool stuff for charity, like giving away a $12,000 trailer, or doing a raffle, I guess I should say, for a $12,000 overlanding trailer, which is really cool. And they're also doing a contest for like a year of Gaia GPS, I believe, if you post up like a picture of your truck and a description of what you've done to it. So definitely check that out over on overlandradio.com. Again, if you're new to this chat, if you just randomly saw this on like Overlanding USA, thank you for stopping by. I hope you had a good time. If you don't follow me everywhere, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on all the major podcast channels, and I'm on YouTube, obviously. Just search all things Overlanding and you'll find me. If you guys have any questions or anything, like I love talking to you guys. That's one of my favorite things. So, definitely hit me up. My Gmail I get, to my phone and everywhere else is just allthingsoverlanding@gmail.com. So again, if you have questions, if you just want to chat, if you're local to the area and you're like, hey, where are some good campsites in Indiana? Let me know. I'm happy to help you out. So yeah, and if you guys know anybody else that's like into camping or overlanding, or if there's Nissan folks, I'm a Nissan guy, but I like all makes. But if they're into Nissans and stuff, tell them about the channel. I'd appreciate it. Just let them know. Go follow All Things Overlanding because they'll get good content here. So cool. That was pretty much all I have. Do you guys have anything else that you want to cover? This is my version of the bar at this point with COVID going on. Good chat. Thanks for some good info. Yeah, thank you, Scott. Brett, peace. Curtis, LOL. We want Country Boy beers. Overland Addict. Thanks, Fletch. Thank you, Chad, for stopping by. All right, I'm going to wrap it up, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, for stopping by. We'll do this again next week. I'll come up with a new topic for next week, and we'll talk through it. But it was awesome. It was a great time with you guys tonight. So, yeah, hop over to Facebook if you want after this. Post up pictures of your knives. Anything you want that's related. I'd love to hear about it. So thank you guys again for stopping by, and we'll talk to you next time.